LSU football just got great news as one assistant coach picked up multiple prospects today as Lane Kiffin continues to build out his offense for the LSU Tigers, and we got to break it all down. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to LSU Football 365. If you are an LSU football fan, please hit that subscribe button. Only 3.8% of viewers are subscribed to the channel, and it really helps me out a ton. But let's jump right into what we got for today, because we have one man to give a ton of props to today. That is Eric Walford, the offensive line coach for the LSU Tigers. Let's start off with a new commitment today that we received from Terrence Smith. Now, we talked about him a little bit late last week, how he was visiting LSU, and we were trending in the right direction to land this commitment. But today, on June 15th, it officially becomes official, as we can see here at the top of the screen from 24/7 Sports. Hard commit, 6/15/2026. Let's meet Terrence Smith, offensive tackle, 6'7", 290 pounds. Rated by 24/7 Sports as a 4-star recruit. They have him rated a 95 overall, ranked as the 39th best player in the 2027 recruiting class, the number 5 offensive tackle in the class, and number 4 player in the state of Pennsylvania. You love seeing Penn State having a little bit of a down year in terms of football, which is going to impact the recruiting as well, making their essentially open season on Pennsylvania recruits for the 2027 class. They'll probably bounce back, but for now, other schools will be having a leg up on even Penn State to go get recruits in that state. So there is something to be mentioned here when we look at the rankings from 24/7 Sports versus the composite rankings, which is the other recruiting websites all averaged out, because there's a huge, I don't want to say disagreement, but the way we're going to put it is 24/7 Sports is significantly higher on Terrence Smith than the other recruiting websites are. A gap of 90 spots on average, which is one of the biggest gaps that I can remember of any player that I have looked at a 24/7 profile, I think, this entire offseason. So that's a big disagreement between Rivals, On3, ESPN Recruiting, Yahoo Recruiting, and 24/7 Sports. So the composite grade has him only ranked 1 point lower, but ranked as the 129th best player in the country, number 14 offensive tackle in the country, which was compared to 39th and 5th by 24/7 Sports. But when you get to campus, doesn't matter how many stars you had. It depends on how much work are you willing to put in. And we're hoping that Terrence Smith is going to come to Baton Rouge ready to show up and ready to work, which you would imagine he would, because we are hearing from 24/7 Sports that it was a coaching staff and it was the people with the program of LSU what swayed his decision and why he decided to come here. Learning a little bit about him, what he does on the field here, coming from Andrew Ivins, our scouting report here from Andrew Ivins, the director of scouting for 24/7 Sports. First off, right off the top there, you can see, reminds 24/7 Sports of Paris Johnson Jr. If you don't know who Paris Johnson Jr. is, he was, I believe, the 4th overall pick for the Arizona Cardinals a couple years ago. He's a left tackle out of Ohio State, but a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. That's you would love to get a player that reminds you of that, right? So that's, of course, a very, very high bar for Terrance here to reach, but we will set the bar high, and we're going to figure out whether or not he can live up to that type of expectation. A couple of these points here: tall and naturally athletic offensive lineman with some of the best combine testing metrics in the entire class. For your offensive tackles, the best tackles, like, everyone looks at O-line and they recognize that, of course, they're going to be less athletic than the other skill position players. They're going to be slower. They're going to be heavier. The bellies are going to be bigger. But the top offensive linemen in the NFL, they are in tremendous shape. Like, some of them are borderline skinny. If you remember Terrence Smith from the Dallas Cowboys for a little while, and then with the New York Jets, he almost had abs, and he was an offensive tackle. He was almost 300 pounds. So you want guys, especially for tackles, for the interior offensive linemen, you don't have to be as heavy, but for the offensive tackles, for the interior offensive linemen, you can be heavier. You don't have to be as athletic, and your feet don't have to be as good. But if you're going to be a tackle on the outside, your feet have to be really good. You still got to be a great athlete. Missed first half of junior campaign while recovering from knee surgery, but quickly worked his way back into the lineup for his high school. A little bit of so an injury history comes along with Terrance here. Owns valuable experience at both tackle spots. Love to see that. Someone that it's not going to be completely new to him if we are going to have to move him to his less natural tackle position because he has experience at the high school level playing both tackle spots. That's going to matter because he's not the only tackle recruit that we are bringing in today here. Moves with a higher pad level, so you just got to make sure you are bending at your knees and sinking your hips, getting low, and moving well like that. If you remember Will Campbell, tremendous career with LSU, but when you watch him on film, he would bend over at his hips, and he wouldn't bend over his knees. So you want to bend with your knees and get low like that. Still learning how to time up his strikes in pass protection, but can recover with his agility and take pass rushers for a ride. Hands, you want to get him inside accurately in pass pro, so he has to work on that. Likely to add a ton of good mass. That's why you recruit the tall guys, because you can't teach the height. The taller players, they have room on their frame to add more size, and that's what we were hoping Terrance will be able to do. Projects as a potential multi-year starter up front for a college football playoff hopeful. That's exactly what we are. So that is exactly what we are looking for. Let's jump into our next guy here, Amaziah Siale. This morning, he's committed to the Cal Golden Bears. Tonight, he has flipped. He is now going to be joining LSU. As of today, in the era of NIL, guys are flipping commitments, decommitting. Nothing's really set in stone until the first Saturday or the last Saturday in August because college football is crazy. Some of it's good crazy. Some of it's bad crazy. I hope someone's going to get a handle on that pretty quickly here. But Amaziah Siale, 6'6", 360 pounds. That's just a monstrous human being, man. And this is someone who is in high school. He is going into his senior year. He has another year of high school left. That's just crazy. I can't even imagine being that big, dude. That is insane. Because I'm trying to think of what I was in high school. Like, that is actually double. I was like 180 pounds. That's actually double my weight. There it is. That's insane. Okay. Got to remember, it's SEC O-linemen. They're going to be huge. Can't compare myself to them. 24/7 Sports has him rated a 3-star offensive line recruit, rated an 89 overall, ranked the 43rd best offensive tackle in the class, and 28th best player in the state of California. So rankings not as high as Terrance Smith, and not as high as our next guy, but still someone who can hopefully come in and make a difference for the program. Next name here, Kal-El Johnson, not committed to LSU, unlike the other players, but our insiders are telling us that Kal-El Johnson is trending in the right direction and LSU is gaining a lot of traction in this recruitment. However, we can see here from Archbishop Moeller in Cincinnati, Ohio, right now the Ohio State Buckeyes still remain the favorite to land his commitment, but LSU trending in the right direction. However, with the pickup of Terrence Smith from earlier today, you have to imagine that makes LSU feel like they have to put less resources into the offensive tackle position because we got Amaziah Siale and Terrence Smith. So 2 pickups today, you put less resources in. That's just what they're going to do. Very likely. That's not confirmed by insiders, but that's very likely. But Kal-El Johnson, 6'7", 281 pounds, 4-star recruit, rated a 90 overall by 24/7 Sports, ranked as the 35th best offensive tackle in the class, number 14 best player in the state of Ohio. Even though LSU is gaining ground right now, I still feel like the Ohio State Buckeyes are going to take him from LSU. I just don't feel great about LSU actually finishing that out. But we know Lane Kiffin's going to get whatever he wants. So these tackles, they're going to be joining a revamped offensive line headlined by Colorado transfer Jordan Seaton. Jordan Seaton was a 5-star recruit, actually a top 10 recruit in the class back in 2024. He's going into his junior season. He's going to be a one and done with LSU because he's going to be going to the top 10 of the NFL draft for next season. The draft's actually so loaded, he might not be in the top 10, but Jordan Seaton's a monster. So LSU's offensive line for this year is in good hands. We could see 2 new transfers. We got a new right guard out of the transfer portal and the aforementioned Jordan Seaton. So very excited to see what LSU's O-line is going to look like this year. I know Lane Kiffin's scheme is very gimmicky and doesn't really hedge itself on an offensive line that it doesn't need Lane Kiffin's scheme does not require a ton of pass protection for the quarterback. Like Leavitt's not going to be sitting back and waiting 4 seconds, 5 seconds. There's going to be a lot of RPOs. There's going to be a lot of screen passes. There's going to be a lot of one read and go and stuff like that Lane Kiffin will design for our new quarterback here. So I am excited to see what the O-line is going to look like this year. Should be a great season for LSU. That's what I got for this video. If you stuck around this long, I appreciate you taking the time to watch the video all the way through. Please hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Go Tigers.